Chapter 2. Right now, as I write these confessions to the world, it occurs to me how wonderful life could have been if the events of this summer vacation had never come to pass. Don't get me wrong, the first half of the summer was amazing. Spending days in our basements together, watching movies and playing games. If I could live in the first couple of months of this summer for eternity, I would be forever at peace. It's once we got to the end of July that things started down the wrong road and shattered the world around me to dust. By now, in the first week of September, everything has circled the drain straight to hell. On the last day of school, the four of us went for a walk downtown and found a dingy old diner that none of us had ever entered before. This was odd, as Dill, Tony, and I thought we knew of every spot to eat in our town. Lizzie took charge and led the way, as she normally did with our little group. Tony and Dill were in love with her, so they would follow her to the ends of the earth, which, in some ways, they have actually appeared to do. I personally never really cared what we did. I was just always happy and at peace when with my friends. "Let's check this place out," she called out to us as she broke away from the group and began to lead us toward the somewhat dirty glass doors. Of course, we followed without any hesitation at all. There's really nothing special about this diner, inside or out. There are 100 other ones just like it here in a town that we had been to, so I really didn't expect much. It was here that our worlds began to change, heading toward their eventual crash. However, we had no way to know at the time. "Sit anywhere," a voice called out from the kitchen, behind the bar that ran the length of the entire place. We did as the voice instructed and grabbed a booth right by the door. Looking around, I noticed just how old this place was. Silver and red everything, like out of an old movie or show. I'm sure that when it was built it was shiny and beautiful, but today it was dull and dirty. The once glossy steel edges were now scuffed and scratched from years of abuse and neglect. As I slid into one side, crossing over a large tear in the cushion that was partially covered by some off-colored duct tape, Lizzie quickly followed me, sliding right onto the tear. Discomfort arose upon her face. "You got the special seat," I laughed as she tried to get herself into a more pleasing position. Her always having the seat next to me had become custom by this time, as a way to not have the other two guys fight over who got to sit next to her. Though Dill and Tony always seemed a little needlessly jealous of me, I was just fine with it. I have no idea where our conversation started, and to be honest, it really doesn't matter as much as the direction in which it had turned at some point. Most of our conversation started with some innocuous statement that caused a discussion or argument that would trail off and last hours on end. I believe this one had something to do with the ability of one super powerful hero facing a team of less powerful heroes and who would win in that epic battle. I could be wrong though, as we had that particular conversation a lot. This day was different though. It's not too deep into our normal conversational tendencies, and just after our food had been tenderly placed on the table between us, Tony asked where we were doing movie night the upcoming Saturday evening. You see, we had yet to decide where our weekly event was to be held. "I'm gonna say we go to Lizzie's house this time," Dill suggested, to which she visibly tensed up and avoided eye contact with the rest of us. "Yeah, Tony added. That way we can finally see where you live, Lizzie. He quieted his voice to where he thought only Dill could hear him, but was apparently louder than he thought. And we might actually get her to stay for the whole double feature for once. Come on, guys, it's cool, I interjected, seeing her in her state of unease. We can just do it at my house again this week. My mom really likes having you guys over, and I do have the biggest TV in the group. I bragged, but in a fun way. We don't really know that for sure, Dill argued, since we've never seen Lizzie's TV. He stated just before taking a hefty bite from his burger and losing some of his toppings out of the back and onto the plate. No, Lizzie finally spoke up, her voice a little shaken. Aaron is way bigger than any of the TVs where I live. Cool, I continued while dipping a fry into possibly a little too much ketchup. Then we'll be at my house again this week. And then I shoved the whole fry into my mouth just before a large glob of ketchup had a chance to drop onto my lap. I remember that moment specifically because of the relief on Lizzie's face as she mouthed, "Thank you," to me so the others wouldn't notice. All I could do in return was nod in understanding as she took a bite of her sandwich. Now, this was an understanding that she didn't want us at her house, and not an understanding of why. We wouldn't get that answer for another few days. Thank you for listening. I release new chapters every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you prefer to read, I do release all 3 chapters every Sunday on my Wordpress. If you know anybody else who might be interested in this story, please feel free to share.